What's up guys, it's Subsy here and this is the Cooler Master Q300L. Now as you can probably tell from the size, it's not a big PC case, it does not fit full ATX motherboards, it doesn't actually fit anything above M-ATX, but it's also not a small case, so it has plenty of room inside, which we'll get into in a second. But first let's take a look around the sides here. So at the front we have the we have one removable mesh filter over here. And this one comes wrapped in plastic. On the top we have another one, and this one didn't come wrapped in plastic, but it's pretty much the same thing on the top and on the front. So they're both attached via magnets the entire way around, and they're really easy to put on. On the side you have a windowed side panel, and you have your connectors on this side, which can be rotated to any side that you want to. But at the moment the way it comes shipped is at the front, which probably looks better to me anyway. On the other side you have basically nothing, but what you do have are rubber feet for each of these corners. These double as the screws to remove the side panel, so you can actually put it down flat like so and just have it as a flat PC, or you can stand up and use the feet at the bottom for that. And around the back here what we have is basically your standard stuff. We have the cutout for the I/O ports, we have the power supply cutout, and then space for 4 PCI Express sort of connector thingies. And then we have a small fan. I believe it's an 80mm fan, but we'll check that when we get inside the case. One thing to note, it is made out of aluminium, or some sort of metal at least, but there are brushed aluminium pieces around the sort of edges over here and over here. And they do look pretty cool, and at the bottom as well actually, basically on each of the corners. So if you have it flat down like this, each of the 4 corners have like a sheet of brushed aluminium, and that actually is a really nice touch, especially considering the price of this. I believe it is under $50 in the US. I got it for around £40 in the UK, so it is a fairly cheap case, and well, I mean, it's more than I expected to get for this price, which is actually pretty awesome. So if we open up the side panel over here, there we go, they drop out and they don't actually stay in, which is okay. I'll just keep them safe. On the inside here you can see we have basically nothing, which is good. So we don't have any drive cages pre-installed or anything like that. It's just pretty open the entire way around. So as you can see, we have the cutouts for the micro ATX and the mini ATX motherboards, and we have standoffs in place for some of them, and we have a bunch of cables which are for the front I/O, or in this case the side I/O. And there's not much more to it from this side. We do have the fan. Here we go, let's measure the fan, and the fan is... I was wrong, it's a 120mm fan. It looks smaller from the outside. There are rubber pads at the bottom for the power supply, so you don't sort of get noise from the vibration. So they absorb the shock from the power supply. And if we remove the other side and just sort of rotate that, and we should... these come off as well. I would like it if they stayed in, just with like a hook on the inside, but that's not the worst thing in the world. At least they are rubber. Oh, and the other one has rubber pads over here, so you don't sort of scratch the glass as you do that. And if we remove that, it comes off easily, and we have about just over an inch thickness of space to mount or cable manage everything. We have a screw here which can be used as a bracket to mount your 3.5 inch hard drive, which they do still support, which is pretty awesome, so you can stick in a 2 or 4 terabyte drive if you want to. And then there's lots of mounting for SSDs, because that's probably what you want to go for anyway, especially as your boot drive. So if I take this off and this, you can sort of see this skeleton of this. It's really light. I mean, it's thin metal, but as soon as you put something in here, it's gonna get heavy. And I mean, it doesn't have much flex to it, so that's good. And of course, it has tons of space to have a huge graphics card. I think it supports every single one that's out there at the moment, and pretty much every single one that's going to come out, unless it's like twice as long as any current one, because I think the GTX 2080 comes to around here, and you still have the entire gap. Even behind these connectors you have a gap which just goes straight to the front. You have space and mounting holes for radiators and fans. I believe you can mount both dual 120 and dual 140mm fans or radiators at the top, providing there is enough clearance for your CPU cooler. And at the front, it seems like there's probably more space, but with that you do have to consider that this connector does get in the way, so you probably have to move this to another side of the case, or move the cables to somewhere else. So what is this case for me? Like, what am I going to use it for? Am I going to build a PC in here? Probably not. So what I am actually planning to do is to do something a bit special. And by that I don't mean like make a PC or make a gaming rig or anything like that, or do some really cool RGBs or anything like that. Now I'm going to try and see how cheap I can build a good enough Hackintosh in a case that I think looks good for the money. Now I could have gone with something like the BitPhoenix Prodigy, which in white looks pretty similar to like a tiny version of a Mac Pro, or I could have gone for like a really expensive Lian U case or something like that, but I wanted to get something affordable, something which looks cool and looks understated and doesn't have a branding issue. By that I mean that it doesn't have a huge logo at the front or like red strikes or anything like that across the case. It's just clean and minimal, and especially if you have no RGB inside you can't really see. But like I said, this isn't actually a review on the case, it's just an overview. So what I'm going to do after this video is try to search through used ad listings on like Facebook Marketplace, eBay and all sorts of places to try to find the best combination of new parts and used parts. Now this would be a new part, of course, and just see what I can build with that. My primary objective here is to make something that can run Mac. Now that's what makes it harder, because it's really easy to build a PC because you have drivers for everything, but building something with used parts and new parts that can run Mac for a budget which I'm going to probably cap at below $500, most likely below $400. I'm going to try and keep it as minimal as I can for the most performance that I can get, and just sort of see how far I can take this. I might not end up using this case because I do want something small, and although it is small, for some reason I'd measured it out to be a bit smaller, or at least a bit thinner, because it is quite wide for a small case, but that is because you get so much clearance inside and you can just do whatever you want with the internals, which is awesome if you want to, you know, care about what it looks like. But that's not my focus for this. I might end up doing that afterwards, just as sort of like an extra thing. But my primary goal for this is to just make something that works cheap and works good. So I'll probably do some sort of a follow-up video to this, probably about the parts that I buy, what I choose, why I choose them, and then another one after that, just sort of put them all together, see how it works, see how it looks, see if it's good enough for the value, or if you can just buy like a Mac Mini or some iMac or something used, just sort of evaluate the performance that I get from whatever I build. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click the subscribe button so you don't miss any future content. But as always, it's been Subsy here, and I'll see you guys next time.